All right, hello and welcome everyone to another Helminth builds video. Today we are getting more on kind of a regular track, let's say, by talking about larval ironclad RHINO. So this is basically just an upgrade on the ironclad RHINO build by adding larva to it. With that, if you know what ironclad RHINO does, there's going to be some explanation here for those people who do not. So we've added larva to RHINO in place of his fourth. The reason we had to replace his fourth, because I know a couple people are going to say that ability is so good, why not replace RHINO Charge, is because RHINO Charge is necessary for ironclad RHINO to function, as well as Iron Skin being necessary, and Roar is a better ability than his fourth, so we're certainly not replacing that. So that's why we replace his fourth, even though, you know, RHINO has many good abilities. So what we have here is a build. Now this build, hilariously, of course, has 2 Umbral Form in it, and I did that as a joke a while back. But let it be known, you do not need any Umbral Forma to make this build work. Very simply, use Steel Fiber in place of Umbral Fiber, and then Umbral Intensify can fit on here just with some different formatting if you want to go for this, and you'll be just fine with this build. That being said, this build needs a good bit of duration. You could go slightly lower than this and be okay, but it'll restrain your timing on doing a lot of things. And you want a decent amount of range, not only for hitting more enemies with your one, but also because, of course, we're incorporating larva now. 160% has been fine for it, though I will say of all the builds that I have tested so far with larva, this is the build that's probably hurt the most by larva having been nerfed, as this build, you know, it needs amounts of enemies, and, you know, more range would give me higher amounts of enemies. Pretty basic stuff there. Not really a DPS thing, more of just getting the most hilarious number possible things, which is the goal of this build after all. And then after range, of course, we need a lot of strength. You want over 200% strength on this build. It can obviously work with less than 200%, but you want to build a good amount of strength. If you don't care too much about efficiency, a thing you can do is, instead of Transient Fortitude, you can go for Blind Rage. This is going to pump your strength up quite a bit and also, you know, give you back some duration as compared to using Transient Fortitude. And also worth noting is there's a, you can go with this and then kind of, because you get that duration back, you can actually drop Prime Continuity and go Streamline. If you feel like that's a good balance, that's absolutely applicable. Totally a fair way to do this build. But for me personally, I don't like dunking my efficiency that far down, and this build has worked great for all the content that I've ever brought it to. The thing that is of note here is you do need both of the augments. Iron Shrapnel is incredibly good because it just lets you refresh your Iron Skin, which is going to be extremely, extremely useful in pretty much any mission. Being able to refresh Iron Skin probably should be an inherent thing you can do just on RHINO, and you shouldn't need Iron Shrapnel for this, but for the time being, you do need Iron Shrapnel for this. And then Ironclad Charge, the namesake of the build, hitting enemies with RHINO Charge gives you a shitload of armor. The more enemies you hit, the more armor you get. And speaking of armor, we are also utilizing Arcane Tanker to give us another 1200 armor whenever we drop our Arc Gun down. This is going to increase the amount of Iron Skin you're going to get by a significant amount, especially when combined with Ironclad Charge. But I highly advise you get this if you want to get a shitload of armor. A notable thing that you can do is, instead of going for Energize, you can use Ultimatum. If you are wanting to bring a weapon that can easily get to finishers, this will add another 1200 armor on top of the 1200 armor that you can get from Tanker. But I think that's, you know, it's a little above and beyond the memes of getting as much armor as we're going to be getting. And Larva helps considerably, and you don't need to go all crazy with the Arcanes to get a lot of Iron Skin with this build. That being said, let's talk about how it works. It's very simple. We're going to larva enemies, and they're all going to be together, and then we're going to use our one on them, and then we're going to call down our Arc Gun, which can be done before or after we zoop all the enemies up and hit them with our one. And then we're going to get a shitload of Iron Skin whenever we turn it on, because we're going to have a shitload of armor from all of the buffs that we're going to be using. It's worth noting that Iron Skin will not lose the value that we get it up to whenever all of our buffs wear off, because it's snapshots. It takes a look at what your current armor is, and then gives you an Iron Skin value based on that, and of course based on your power strength, and then it sticks to you. So you don't need to keep these buffs active that you're going to be getting all the time for your Iron Skin to be large. You just need it for a moment, and then you'll have a very big Iron Skin to work with. With that being said, let's spawn these dudes in. And just throw out larva, zoop all the enemies up, or almost all the enemies, get a very large number. Not all the enemies there, but 1400% is nothing to sneeze at. And then throw our Iron Skin on, and you will see we will get 155,000 Iron Skin, and that is without even hitting all of them. If we hit all of them, we can get some pretty ridiculous numbers. That was 1800% on that one. Obviously, it's worth noting that it can be a little bit unrealistic to hit this many enemies in a lot of missions, so I am going to be putting in just like a Steel Path Survival at the end here, but you can hit a ton of enemies. Also, as a bonus, you can use Roar plus Larva to do some gross things with weapons that have AoE on them. So, that's also quite good, and a thing that I would advise people to take advantage of. Yeah, 182,000 Iron Skin is pretty much insurmountable in 99% of missions, even whenever we're looking at a quarter of that. If we're talking about like 40k Iron Skin, even that is absurd and insurmountable for the vast majority of the content in Warframe. So this is really overkill, but we love overkill. So yeah, that's pretty much the explanation of how it works. I'm going to throw like a short survival run on the Steel Path on here, so I hope you guys enjoyed that, and I will see you tomorrow.
Harvester destroyed. Life support on the way. Life support has arrived. supplies will help our cause. When you need it, extraction is ready. I've delivered another life support capsule. Extraction is ready.
What in the world?
Critical life support levels. Extraction is infested. Life support incoming. Additional life support has arrived.
What in the world? Another life support capsule is now available. You are running out of time. Consider extraction. You are running out of time. Consider extraction. Life support being replenished.
Another life support capsule. Critical life support levels. Extraction is your best option. Life support activated. I've delivered another life support capsule. You are running out of time. Consider extraction. Life support has been replenished. Additional life support has arrived. RHINO, extraction is critical life support levels. Extraction is your best option. Life support has been replenished.
Surf the golden wave, come through my waves. Painted flowing rays, sunken valleys. Spaceships flowing
Another life support capsule is now released. We will all shoot things down to you. Hold out as long as you can.
out of time. Consider extraction.